Well, hey everybody, this is Don, and
And I'm Tom.
And I'm Tenkar.
this is the vlog of many things. Welcome to our show tonight. Eric is joining us again because Eric, I think, is going to become a kind of semi-regular thing.
I'm
And
gonna
as you can see behind me, we have Eric. No,
no,
Eric.
no, yeah, right there. There we go.
Yep.
There we go.
There's Don. No, that's Tom, but my
That's me.
name's on the thing. Oh, it's because my name's on my screen, and that's my bald head right there, because I'm the only one who has no hair in this group. So,
I'm working on it slowly. I'm working on it. All right.
Yep.
Hey.
Well, tonight what we're going to do is we're going to talk about a few different things. We're going to go ahead and we're going to get into the whole Kyle Brink, left Watsy, which I think is really, really interesting. We're going to give the latest TSR. There's been some movement as far as some URLs being shifted around and stuff like that. And we're going to address real quick an individual who is running around and sending anonymous emails, imagine it about me, about a news story and getting a few people riled up. And we just want to kind of put that to bed once and for all.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So, Tom, Eric, how you guys doing tonight?
I'm doing well. Yeah.
Good.
No complaints. No complaints.
Well, I guess the whole thing going on here is that Eric, you got notified without details of who, how, and when that someone's been getting emails about me.
Right.
And I got notified by somebody the same thing. Tom, I think you didn't. You haven't yet.
I've had instant messages from a Dean Hovermail or
Oh yeah,
or
that's
whatever
right.
the hell he calls himself today.
Yeah. And so basically what's going on is this individual has been getting some people riled up over the fact that I had a publishing company back in 2008. I founded it and I sold it in 2013.
Can I jump in?
Sure.
Right there. So this is something actually Eric and I both investigated.
Yeah.
When we were like, all right, Don's kind of giving us inside information on TSR. Can we trust him? And so it was one of those things where we kind of like dug into it and said, all right, what's this story? And we already investigated this long before we really started trusting you, or at least,
Yeah.
And then I kind of like conferred with Eric on it and said, and he's like, so this is a nothing burger. This whole sale of your company, you sold the company, there was money in escrow, and then they used it for other purposes than they were supposed to.
Yeah. And
then they got sued, but because the sale of the company wasn't 6 months in the past.
1 year.
It named you to the lawsuit, which it got dismissed against you. And
It's
a nothing burger.
Well, basically, to put this really in the more sharper context, because I'm going to be open and honest with the gaming community, because I think that I should be honest with people. I've already done a video about this. It's on my YouTube channel. I did it about a year ago, because Lanasa jumped on this when he first found I got subpoenaed. And I'm going to put this in a real quick, very clean, simple context. I had a publishing company. I ran it from 2008 to 2013. In January of 2013, I sold my publishing company to a long-term employee of mine named Melinda. Okay? Very important dates here. That was January. In April, 4 months later, a quarter of a year later, she moved it from Marshall, where it was, up to Olivet, Michigan, about 20 miles north, where she lived. Okay, so she moves it. It's her company. She can do it. And then a month after that, she went ahead, abruptly shut it down. And my publishing company was a big company. We had over 400 authors, over 700 books in publishing, and all that. Yeah, sorry, Jim, I got your call. I couldn't answer it because I was on live right now. So yeah, there we all are. So basically, I sold my publishing company, and there's a couple of key things to understand here about it, in the interest of being open and honest. And that is, this was not just me and her doing a deal. We involved a business attorney, David Tripp out of Hastings, Michigan. And David handled the sale. He made sure that we went to the bank and there was a transfer over $50,000 in cash from company funds given to her via certified. It was all certified. Everything was above board. So what she basically did is she just basically piss poorly mismanaged the money, and she got underwater. And what ended up happening was she was investigated by the police, and because I had sold her the company, and because she got in kind of a bind with it by going, oh God, I've got the cops on me now, she basically did one of those things. Poor me, he took advantage of me. I never got no money. I never got nothing. And everyone's like, wait a minute here. You guys went to a bank. It was handled by an attorney. The attorney got involved and said, no, it was above board. So to make a long story short, yes, it was investigated like it should have been.
Right.
But at the end of the day, there was no criminal charges. But what spawned all of this was the news got involved. And what the news did is they did a story on it, because we all know what the news likes. They like salacious, big, oh my God.
They gave it a soundtrack, Don. They gave it a soundtrack.
I got my own soundtrack.
I was like, this is like, I'm like, I heard the music in the background, and I was like, oh my God, this is pathetic.
Yeah. And so what ended up happening was the news did a story on it, okay? And the highlight of the newsreel, because you both have seen it, the highlight of the news was two things. 5 seconds of me, because we sat down with the news agency, me and my lawyer, and we gave them 3 hours of time. They gave me, out of 3 hours of interview with them and showing them documents, I got a whole like 5 seconds where they said, are you confident that charges won't be filed? And I said, very confident. Well, her part of it was a little bit different, because what was more interesting to you guys? Was it the fact when she almost ran the news guy down with her car? Or was it when her son got out, who has just got out of prison? Yeah. And he grabbed the guy's $100,000 camera and threw it on the ground, destroyed it. I'm not sure which one was better.
I thought that was actually like, I'm like, holy shit. This is, and forgive me for saying this, white trash comes to dinner. I mean, that I was like,
yep.
Okay.
And just to kind of further let you guys know, yeah, Jim, exactly. They were going for the Emmy Gold on this one. And what's an interesting thing about this was the young man who threw the camera on the ground, okay, 4 months later, he tried to kill police with his gun, shooting at police, and they ended up unaliving him.
Ooh.
They found him in a snowbank, broke down. He pulled out a gun, was clicking it, trying to shoot at him, and they got him. They took care of business with him. So, yeah. Oh yeah, it was a Jerry Springer show moment. I mean, it was like crazy. So, bottom line is this.
Yes, but the results came back. You are not the publisher.
Yeah, I was not the publisher. I mean, I had sold the business, and the funny thing was, she had owned it like 5 months when she shut it down total. So almost a half of a year. I mean, what am I supposed to do about it? So there it is. So I'll just say this to the individual who is spreading this newscast around, because I'm not going to mention his name out of respect, nor am I mentioning who is giving me this info, but I know you're going to watch this video because I'm going to actually share it with you personally. And do me a favor, if you have any questions, drop me a message. Let's talk on the phone, man. I'm an open book. I'm not mad at you. I'll talk to you. I'll answer your questions, man. It's okay. You know,
and the best way to handle gossip is just go to the person and say, this is what I'm being told. Is it true? And I've had the same thing happen to me. And someone came to me and said, hey, this is what I'm hearing from your family member. Is it true? And I'm like, no, it's not true. But tell you what, let's do a family meeting in the room.
Well, what kind of adds to this, Tom, is the reason why this person is really bringing this up, because evidently this person has proof that I am now scamming people. And this was what he said. There's an individual who asked for a refund from me. Mm-hmm. Okay? And I have a policy, we don't give refunds. But I thought, in the interest of goodwill, they were waiting a while. I'll be nice this one time, and I'll give them a refund. So what you got to do is you go into your Shopify panel, and you instigate a refund. Well, I have, through my bank, my credit card processing. I don't go through Shopify because I get a better rate through my bank.
Right.
So I go through Shopify. I have to instigate the refund. And then what they do is they process it. It takes like 5 business days. Well, this person got a little antsy, I guess, messaged a few people, and this guy got it and said, oh, you're not giving this guy a refund. So I want to show you something. Just to let you know, let me real quickly show this. I want to take the brand off. That way we can... Okay. As you can see, on Tuesday at 7:20 p.m., I messaged him and said, your refund's in my system. So you should be getting a refund notice. So as I said to you multiple times, the refund has to cycle through my system. And once it does, you'll have it. So refund issued, as I said. Wednesday, next day, he says, nothing has come through yet. And then later on, as you can see, 5 hours later, very nice message. Hey, Don, I just checked again, and yes, I have received email notification of refund for the 127 because he had shipping with it. Thank you. I'll keep you updated as to when the refund was completed. So basically, as you can see, folks, I'm above board. I'm not in this to rip people off. I know that your reputation is all you got in this business.
Right.
So I wanted to be, I don't have to do this video. I don't have to explain myself, but I did it because I want to be open and honest with people, and I want people to understand that, hey, when you deal with me, you get blunt, you get honest. I'm not going to sit there and do anything unscrupulous. And I don't think you guys would be publishing, especially you, an ex-police officer, Eric, would be publishing with me if you had inside info on me. And I know you looked into me. I know you've been honest with me and told me.
Don. Now I'm gonna give a little peek behind the curtain here. Don came to my initial attention because somebody sent me an anonymous email and told me to look into Don and gave me all these links. So I looked into the links, and there was a lot of nothing in these links as a cop. There's a lot you can read into it, but no, it was lacking on facts and had a lot of supposition. So I actually reached out and spoke with Don and was able to get clarifications to what was literally an incomplete set of not even facts. Can't even explain to you what it was. But I was told I had to investigate. I had to look into it. And folks, you all know my reputation. Listen, I've been called the cop in the OSR for over a decade, mostly by people who don't like me and think I'm an asshole. So I looked into Don very closely, very deeply, and I will state this. I will put my reputation on Don. Okay?
Wow.
Don has been nothing but honest and honorable and truthful with me. So I can't put it any nicer. I can't put it any truer. But I have faith in Don, and I don't have faith in anonymous people who do these little email campaigns that they start this bullshit. That when you send me an anonymous email to tell me to do something, I'm going to be very suspicious as to why you're anonymous and you're sending it to me. And I was then, and I still am now.
I can speak to Eric's thoroughness. He shared a digital file on somebody that he looked into one time that I was curious about. And it was, if it had been paper, it would have been like that thick. He just kind of Dropboxed it to me and said, enjoy. And I started going through it, and I says, oh man, this is way, way too much to read in one sitting. So he's exceptionally thorough when he looks into somebody. And I know, I figure he's probably looked into me. I wouldn't surprise me at all.
I can neither confirm nor deny any such things.
Well, I'm going to say this real quick, and then let's move on to some happy talk here. And that is, for everybody's benefit here, okay? I wanted to do this front end part of this video because I wanted to show the gaming community, be transparent and be open and honest, okay? Because that's a hell of a lot more than what most people would have done, And, the integrity of these two guys, of people like Jim Wampler, who has already talk to me. Yeah, he checked me out for Tim Kask. I mean, and rightfully so. Tim, Tim and Jim are like brothers. I mean, they're just ultra tight friends, and he should be protective of Tim. And I know he was kind of looking into it. He even admitted, like he said in the comments. So this is the last time I'm going to address this with people. When people want to anonymously drop, links and stories and BS, that's what it is. They're doing it for a reason. They're doing it because they are a bunch of cowards. So if you have a question, you can come to me directly. Happy to talk with you. Happy to do a video call with you. You know what? I'm happy about it. Scott Mulder says, Don, Tom, and Eric, you know that you guys are good people because it drives the futards absolutely enraged out of their mind with all their suts and mutations. Exactly.
Can we quote
Terry
you
R?
Futards?
Yes. Yeah. Hey, that sounds like a cool monster. Hey, Scott, I may use that for another module, the Fudtard. Terry R, how you doing, buddy? Matt Sherman says, I've had several chats and emails with Don asking game creator advice. He's been nothing but willing to answer and help. Much praise. Thank you. All I'm doing is I'm trying to do what I would want people to do with me.
Right.
If I come to you and I say help, and as a note, Eric and Tom and Jim Wampler, God, Jim Wampler was such a great help with me on my Kickstarter. The advice he gave me, and Jim is actually continues to be kind of like a voice of reason. I'll admit it. The other day I was kind of worked up over something. I called Jim. Me and Jim talked for 45 minutes or an hour on the phone, and Jim was just a real calm, reasoning person saying, deep breath, think about this. Yeah. Think about what you're doing. So good people all the way around. This gaming community is far and above full of people just like Eric and Jim and Tom and Scott and Terry and Matt and goes on and on and on. So okay, so let's get on to some really interesting stuff.
Well, I just want to comment on the Fudtard making it a monster. If we only only knew an artist who could draw that creature, we could run a contest like we did before on that crap master or
I have no clue who could sit there and do artwork. I have absolutely no idea who could do artwork like that.
Scott Mulder is a pretty decent artist too.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Oh, and we could get Wampler, Fugly, a few of those that have their own, noticeably different takes on stuff. I'd love to see multiple takes on a Fud Monster. Maybe they're all.
Well, I mean, maybe we could do one for 1E and one for.
Yeah.
Make a totally screwed up one for.
Hey, how you doing?
Star Frontiers New Genesis.
Yeah. Well, there's going to be something real quick for WizardCon, just real quick. I'll be making. I'm already in talks with Mr. Wampler to see about maybe doing some work for WizardCon because of his expert. I'm sorry. I'm just going to say, Marvin the Mage is the most badass, crazy, wacky mage you can do. Go to Mud Puppy Games and buy those comics. I have them all. I love his freaking cartoon, Marvin the Mage. But Jim already knows that. I tell him like that 10 times a week. Yeah. Yes. So, all right.
It's WizardCon anyways, doesn't he? It's WizardCon, Marvin the
Mage. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool stuff. But, all right, real quick. Let's get back to the fun stuff.
Watsy.
Kyle Brink. Kyle Brink left Wizards of the Coast.
Well,
never.
Didn't see that coming.
No, not right before release. I mean, who wants to leave their position at the Pinnacle? It's like,
the Pinnacle? Eric, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be a dick here. The Pinnacle of what? They totally fub-tarded the 50th anniversary.
Well, see, that's a way to look at it. One way to look at it is somebody has, and by the way, I was accused. I'm going to just say this: I was accused of doing one of those horrible things on the internet when you get people, you clickbait them. That's the word. I was accused of clickbait with my rats jumping in off the boat into the water as a thumbnail. Because how do I know that Kyle is fleeing a sinking ship. Well, listen, the options are he was fired, but he wasn't fired during the purge. Okay? He wasn't let go during the purge when everybody else was let go. So that tells you he was doing the job they wanted. He's leaving right before 6E, D&D Forever, D&D 2024, whatever you call it, actually goes live in September with the Player's Handbook. Why would you leave before that unless you know you've been handed a plate full of shit and you've got to eat it? Now, the other theory that Mike had too is that he was being the fall guy. He was the one that took the blame for the OGL. He did the stupid comment of white guys like me need to
Well,
leave the industry.
there's another option here that no one's talking about, and this is what I think.
Oh, okay.
I think probably what happened is I think that, first of all, Wizards of the Coast, every time you think they screwed up, they go hold my beer, and they even do it even more. I think it's a possibility that he was basically told, we want you gone, so we'll make you a deal. You can resign. We'll give you a good, attaboy. Right. You know what I mean? And then we'll go ahead and we'll do that. Oh, by the way, Chubby Funster, Joe, welcome. I think that's a possibility too.
Yeah. Well, here's the funny thing about Kyle Brink, the whole white men need to get out of the hobby. And I said it on video way back, you first. Okay. You first. And, he's done nothing for inclusion or for, any other ethnicity or gay people. He's done nothing to promote them, to build them up in the hobby. Just making a soundbite, on a video does nothing to help these people. And even him leaving the hobby has done nothing to help anybody. Okay, because a hobby is self-elected. So, all right, there's a lot of white guys in the hobby. Okay, what have you done to help bring more black people in the hobby, or more Hispanic people, or more Asian? He's done nothing.
Well, what bothers me, it's not even really, it's the community too, because just a few shows ago, we had a person in the comments go, all I see is a bunch of old white males. They made a comment to that effect. And I'm thinking to myself, me being white, male, and over the age of 50 does not invalidate my opinion. I have a right to my opinion. And why can't I talk about, like you just said about this whole thing with race and everything? You're right. What has Kyle Brink, as the leader of the brand, done for the African American community in gaming, the gay community, the trans community, minorities in general? What have they done besides, and I'm sorry, doing the token little things that they do? Like we're gonna take a race, or we're gonna take something out of the game. Why don't you do something really proactive? Why don't you start some program for underprivileged youth? Why don't you start some program for black youth or something like that? That involves D&D.
It's saying that there's not enough people of color in the hobby. Look, it's self-elected. Here in Maine, there's a hobby called archery. All right, and guess what? It's all white people. Well, Maine is 90-something% white. And maybe all of the Somalis that immigrated here, they're just not interested culturally in archery. That's their choice to not get involved. But they're certainly welcome to get involved, because what archery is all about? How good you shoot. End of the day, it's not like, oh, we don't like it. No, you kick somebody's butt, at it, you kick somebody's butt. And it's all about how well you shoot. And,
But it's also this fallacy that surrounds gaming that it's basically a white dominated thing. And yes, there's more whites than minorities, but I'll give you an example. I guess I'm gonna announce it here. I don't think you guys knew I did this, but I reached out to my local library, the Willard Library, through Wizard Tower Games. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to do a once a month Saturday afternoon or a Sunday afternoon gaming thing for kids under 16, for kids, and teach them how to play D&D and role-playing games and get them into the camaraderie of it and everything. Well, the Willard Library jumped on it, like as in wholeheartedly, and we have our first 22 signups. And this is the stats, real quick. Interesting stats. 22 kids from the ages of 16 to 9 have signed up. Okay. Of those 22, 9 are girls.
Oh, wow. Nice.
And of those 22, 6 are African American and 3 are Hispanic.
Nice.
And do those numbers reflect the population in your area?
Battle Creek, Michigan has a very high African American population, and they have a very high Malaysian population from Malaysia.
Okay.
So a little bit, yes, but what that tells me though is think about this. You know, it's the little things like that a small yoke game company in Battle Creek, Michigan managed to real quickly get put together. Can you imagine what Wizards of the Coast did if they said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to do a thing like the RPGA used to be. We're going to go ahead and we're going to have like a gaming club community, and we're going to put some money behind it. No, they don't want to do that. They're wanting to do other crap, and that's what it is. Instead of supporting the gaming base. And you know, they're right.
Right.
The gaming base and the future of gaming is not Don, Tom, Eric, Scott Mulder, and such, you know, older guys. It's the young kids that need to get into this hobby and get a passion behind it, because they're the ones that are going to feed this hobby.
Yeah.
And you know what? If a lot of them can be black, Hispanic, Asian, white, it's whatever it is, it's a positive, because we're involving young people in the game, and that's what we need to do. It's just what we need to do, man. And WotC just flubbed it. My wife knows about my hobby, won't play. She's black and from Africa. Yeah, Cal, but you know what? Your wife won't play because probably what? And I'm just guessing, but maybe because she doesn't have an interest in D&D.
Hobbies really are self-elected. You choose to get involved or not. It's not, you know, I could make a case that, like, geez, there's no blacks in archery in Mongolia. You know?
Yeah.
There are no blacks in Mongolia. It's dominated by an ethnicity there. It's culturally, it might not be a thing for a particular culture. It's just
Johnny. But that's the thing. What we need to do is, you know what? Hold on a minute.
I think your sound went a little wonky.
Sorry, my mic slipped off my shirt. My apologies.
Oh, okay.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay.
now.
Heard you before,
Sorry.
Now you sound beautiful, sir.
Yeah. Your seat at the table. Welcome to the channel. I don't think I've seen you here before, but welcome. Like many, I've wrestled rage off and on my entire life, but I have tried my level best to leave it at the door when it comes to gaming. Escapism has its place. What do you guys think about that?
I think that's perfect. I don't listen. I don't talk politics at the gaming table. I don't talk real world religion at the gaming table. If you wouldn't talk about it at a holiday dinner with your family, because they always tell you don't talk religion or politics, why are you doing it with your social life? That's what
Yeah.
I play D&D to not think about the real world. Or whatever I'm playing, whatever role-playing game. I don't want to be immersed in real-world shit in the middle of my gaming.
Yeah.
See, that's the whole thing. That's with me. When I play a game like D&D, I'm doing it because, you know what? I can't, believe it or not, this is going to be hard to believe, but I can't cast fireballs in real life. I know. But the thing is, I can fantasize about it, and it is about escapism and fantasy and all that. I want to be able to sit there, and I want to be able to be, Fundar the Brave, the big, barbarian warrior. I want to be able to be a magic user. I want to be able to battle goblins and be on brink of death and come back, 5 minutes later because I took a healing potion type thing. Chubby Funster says the idea that everyone is equally interested in everything is ridiculous. Agreed, 1,000%.
Yeah.
UCT says, my wife doesn't read much, nor does she understand anything about gaming and will not play under any circumstances. That's right, because you know what? Like Tom said, it's self-elected. Yeah. My wife, like I'll give you an example. My wife went yesterday out with her girlfriend to this place where you can go and you can get like it's like a ceramic place, like you buy the piece of ceramic and you paint it and everything is like a little thing.
Then you bring it back and they put it in the kiln or whatever.
She had a ball. You know what? You ain't catching me dead in that place. Even though I'm a creative, I love to draw and paint and do, but it's just not my thing with ceramics. But it's hers. But she does like to game.
And culture does enter into what your interest is. Yeah. When I was volunteering, running a scout troop in the inner city, my troop was 100% Hispanic. I was the token white guy as the scoutmaster. But so it was. They were very Hispanic, and there was a lot of children of immigrants. And I took them all up to summer camp in New Hampshire, and I was like, hey, let's do some things as a troop. They were interested in kayaking, and I was like, yeah, let's go to the tomahawk range and throw some tomahawk. Not interested. Let's go to the archery range. Not interested. They wanted to go to the rifle range and shoot 22s. And I'm like, all right.
I'm interested. I'm game.
Yep. So, I'm interested in throwing tomahawks and archery. That interests me, but it didn't interest the kids. So we didn't do that. We went and shot 22s, and then there weren't enough 22s to go around, so I shot a black powder rifle. So that was actually cool.
Well,
but, that was what they were interested in, and I thought, you know what? We live in the inner city. Guns are sometimes a thing in the inner city, so therefore learning gun safety in a very controlled environment would be a great thing for all these kids. And we had a blast. It was a great time.
Well, Crusader Cools asked, what rule set are those kids playing? Is it 5e or something else? The way I'm going to do it is this, because so many kids signed up, we're going to break it up into a couple of different sessions on a Saturday for about, I'm going to devote 4 hours on each Saturday or Sunday. So 2-hour sessions. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give the kids a choice. I want to run a 5e, and then I want to run like something like Beckme, something very simple, very basic that the kids can get a premise on. But I think 5e is important because 5e is the current flavor of D&D. The kids need to learn it because that's what they're going to be getting into.
That's what the club at school will run.
Yeah, and just to let you know, we're fronting it all. We're providing them all books and everything, and at the end, if they stick with it, they're going to be able to keep their books. So it's kind of like a partition thing at the end. So just trying to do fun stuff for the kids and everything. And this is what WotC should have done.
You know what'll happen is if you expose them to another system, like the D&D club at the school that I work at has been doing 5e. But I said, hey, I'm going to run a sci-fi game, and I ran a 40-year out-of-print game called Star Frontiers, and the kids that played in that absolutely loved it. They're like, Mr. V, this was cool. That was their comment. And I'm like, well, all right, that works. And, you don't get any more old school than Star Frontiers. I mean, come on.
Yeah. And the thing is, we're also going to introduce them, like we're going to break it up during the course of the summer. We're going to break it up, like I'm going to introduce them. And yes, it's my publishing company's game, but I'm going to introduce them to D20 Delving, a RPG-based board game. Because what I want to do is I want to teach them, not only is there this really cool game called Dungeons and Dragons, which if you really get into it, you can be anything and do anything. But there's also the same similar thing for RPGs. Like Eric, you and your niece, Shannon, you introduced her to gaming, didn't you?
Yeah. Swords and Wizardry Light. Uncle, it's only at 5, almost 6. Uncle, it's only 4 pages. You can teach me to read, and then I can play Dungeons and Dragons. I can play D&D.
But you just said it. Teach her to read. It helps her.
Yes.
God, people can't get why can't WotC get their mind wrapped around the opportunity they have here?
Yeah.
And then you bring
Dave
in the next
Thompson.
generation of gamers, the next generation of consumers.
That's right. And they can't see this.
No.
Seat at table says probably a good thing I can fire fireballs. Too many bucks. Yeah, exactly.
I want a transmute trolls to mud spell. Is what I really
Ooh,
want.
that'd be really cool.
Yeah,
Boy, there'd be a cleanup in aisle 5 on a certain road in North Carolina if they're doing trolls.
North Carolina.
Yeah. Calvin Lee says, I'm spitting fire. It's hot. Had to deal with the license issue. That was a mistake in my state. Oh, boy. Secretary of State. I grew up in a small town in Iowa. Started gaming in the 70s when my BF borrowed his brother's basic D&D on that one week where the bus ran late. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, we all have stories on how we became, and it's amazing how we're all in our 50s here. And I can't tell you much about my childhood early, but I can tell you about my D&D. I even know the names of the people that I played with. Speak like the Hispanic kid. We called him, his name was Tony. We called him, his nickname was Taco. And he liked being, he did not want to be called Tony, he wanted to be called Taco. That was back in the day. It was just fun stuff, you know.
Today that would be racist. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Even if he said, "Call me Taco," can't. Sorry, man.
Yeah, it's like, man, it's like sad times. But Cowboy says old white guys do tomahawks, the others do guns for the inner city. Obviously, that's what we learned here. But that's the thing. But that's the whole point. That is the molds that we need to break in this community. We need to show kids that, you know what, you can sit down and you can game and have a good time. And kind of back to the Kyle Brink thing, Kyle Brink really flubbed it all. So, Eric, you were talking about Kyle Brink, your theory behind him leaving. Go ahead and expand on that.
Well, the way I'm looking at it is, again, nobody wants to leave before I'm going to put air quotes, the pinnacle of their career. Launching the new edition, the new version, the new flavor of Dungeons and Dragons. He's the executive producer. He is the frontline management, hands getting dirty. This is my baby. I'm going to get it out there. And here we are in July. We're 2 months away from the launch of the game. And he's like, you know what? Yeah, you can mark me down as former executive producer of D&D because I'm out of here. Now, again, I'm looking at this as they just fired shouldn't say fired. They downsized a shit ton of people. All right? People that had been there for, in some cases, decades. Your position is gone. Now,
and how they did it was shitty as hell right before Christmas.
That's how WotC always does it. They've been doing that for a better part of a decade. But the thing is, if Kyle was on the chopping block and they fired people from the D&D team, you would have expected it to happen during the purge. For him to leave now leads me to believe, and folks, it's an assumption. We can go back to the Odd Couple. If you make an assumption, you make an ass out of you and me. Thank you, Felix. But the reality is, nobody, if I don't care how bad you're fucking things up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you willingly leave? Unless you know how bad that people that are bitching about the fuck ups that WotC is doing, like the three of us and Mike and everybody else and other channels. What if we're not scratching the surface? I mean, I've said this on my channel. I've seen whispers on the internet, but I've heard this through a source. I can't name them. Sorry, folks. That
sources are different than trouble starting trolls.
Right. I know the source. Okay.
Yeah.
But that there is, and I've seen this in government work with different agencies, but there is an issue going on behind the scenes between the 3D VTT team and the D&D Beyond team, because both think that they should be taking the lead and the others should be the one there to support them. And now we all know that the new D&D, not a new edition, it's a new edition, We know that this is being geared for digital play. It's being geared as a VTT. We know that's the focus. We've seen it. They've mentioned it. That's where the money is. That's where the recurring subscriptions are. And I'm guessing, all right, I am guessing that if Kyle is leaving now, after all the shit he took prior, but he's leaving now right before his new game goes live.
Yep.
It means that I'm gonna say it. I believe that the issue is going to be that the VTT, which still doesn't have a name, by the way, folks.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it's just a 3D. It's the D&D VTT. I got a feeling. If I was a betting man, I would think that this would be a good bet to take. That the VTT will not be ready when the Monster Manual releases in March. In other words,
Don,
the full game will be released and the VTT won't.
Yeah.
Since we're talking about digital, the move to digital, I just sent you a picture I took today at a
I seen it.
If you want to throw that up there,
Sure.
they had on their shelf, and I was aware of this, and so I just thought I want to go by and see how many are still on the shelf. They've had like 6 of the starter sets, D&D starter sets.
Mm-hmm.
6 of the essentials, and when I went by today, they were down to 1 essential and 5 of the starter sets. So they are moving product at Target to get people into D&D, and it is a physical product. These are box sets that are selling for $20. And I wish I'd had time. I would have tried to talk to the manager and say, hey, how well are these selling? And, what do you think about this move to digital? Because they certainly can't stock these on the shelves at Target. I just, this whole idea that you're going to move this whole thing to digital.
But that's just it. I mean, why are they, I understand having a digital component. That's common sense. People like their video games. They like being on their phones, especially the younger crowd. But it's almost like, and I know I'm not trying to be melodramatic, but what's your guys' opinion on what I'm getting ready to say is, it's almost like, to me, like their more short-term than long-range plan is to basically pretty much go 90% digital.
Well, I think, listen, when we think of tabletop RPGs, right? We think of physical product, and digital is there to supplement it. Even your VTTs are, we usually have physical books going along with it. VTT is there because you can't game in person with these friends. But they see going digital as their focus, as don't need to stock as much, right? You don't need to keep as much warehouse. You don't need to print as much. And you can make more digital copies for the cost of
Oh yeah,
zero.
and that's why a lot of smaller publishers go PDF, because PDF, once you are done with your development costs, there is no cost to PDF. It's all profit.
Target is selling to the soccer mom who has watched Stranger Things, and the kid asked about D&D, and they're like, they don't know that you go online and buy a PDF on drive-thru. They don't know that. And I've actually talked to some of these soccer moms, at when Tammy was doing a play at Mid-Coast Youth Theater, and they were like, so my daughter wants to get into this. I says, oh well, you could get the starter set. It'll come with the dice. You'll need the dice, and then of course there's other stuff online that you can go and buy stuff digitally. But I could clearly see in their eyes, they're looking for a box they can buy and give it to the kid, which is how I got started in D&D way back in the 80s when I got that Moldvay box set for Christmas. It's got me started. I got some dice. Oh, my God, I'm going to steal some dice out of the Yahtzee game now.
Well, real quick, see at the table says something interesting here. She says, it's my opinion that Hasbro has decided print is dead and is kicking WotC behind the curtain to pick up the shovel. And that's kind of, to me, although I agree with her, it's kind of a weird way of looking at it when you think about Hasbro, because Hasbro has made all their money off of print board games. I mean,
Well,
and they continue to make millions of dollars a year off print board games.
Right. But here's the thing. Management at WotC now is basically from two sources, Microsoft and Amazon. Okay?
Yeah.
Microsoft.
You can see what they're doing.
You can see Xbox. You know, they push the subscription, push the digital content. Oh, you need that downloadable content. You need to get you want a suit of dwarven chainmail for your character? Well, you know, you can just use the generic, but if you want the actual artwork that we have for it, so you look special on screen, that's an extra $1.99.
Mhm.
And I am going to I would put a month's pension on this one. When, I should say if the VTT launches, okay, and WotC's history with VTTs aren't all that good. If the VTT launches, it is going to be subscription because it's going to be integrated with D&D Beyond. Remember, you get your Red Dragon digital mini only if you're in D&D Beyond and the VTT. And the little tchotchkes for the pre-order is all D&D Beyond paid subscriptions. You're going to have a subscription, and you're going to have microtransactions. It's going to be a combination.
Microtransactions. They're going to go for bread and butter on that.
Yeah. So they're going to get your, I don't know, $4.99 a month. Maybe the platinum tier of D&D Beyond will include the VTT, and then you're going to go, oh wow, the new adventure came out, like, you know, Tenkar's Terrible Tummy 2. And you can get that in a physical digital bundle, and the digital bundle will include, you know, the D&D Beyond stuff, and it's going to include your assets for the VTT, and that's going to be extra. All right, and the VTT is going to be designed that you are going to want or almost need to use their content. You're not going to be able to. It won't be easy, I would suspect, to put your homebrew content into their VTT. They're going to want to show off their content, and they're going to want you to buy the new. Oh well, buy the, the Return of Vecna, and get your VTT content for it. And it's like, oh jeez.
Well, you know what's funny is that EverQuest 2, World of Warcraft, these things were big way back. And, you know, I had an account, and I, just kind of let it go dormant for years. And I was doing a video on the housing, you're going to have new housing for the new 5E, 6E, whatever they're calling it. And they were talking about the housing. And so I thought, well, I'll go into and get some pictures, some screenshots of my housing on my old EverQuest 2 account. And I went in there, and one of the things I've noticed going back into EverQuest 2 is that it's like a desert. It's like
oh yeah,
there's like nobody there. I remember the old days where you try to run around and grab something in game. There'd be a little question mark.
Oh yeah.
You grab something for your collections, and it was like this race, and it's like a desert now in there.
Yeah.
And I just don't see them being successful at digital. I mean, if EverQuest and World of Warcraft had just grown to be maybe World of Warcraft has eclipsed EverQuest. I don't know.
I think World of Warcraft has finally.
Yeah, maybe that's where the scene is, and I'm just in the has-been scene. But it just seems deserted to me. Nobody's doing that. It's and clearly all these people who were rabidly doing it, back 2009, 2007, they're not doing it anymore. They've checked out. And after COVID, everybody actually wants to get together physically. They don't.
I just think it was a big miscalculation. I think they saw the shift right before COVID. They invested heavily into it, and then COVID hit, and they're just not reading it right. That's the thing. It's everything with WotC. Like, they got leadership who doesn't fundamentally understand the product that they are marketing and leading. And they sure as hell don't understand the gaming community, whether it be OSE, OSR, or 5e, whatever side you're on. They don't fundamentally understand what they're in charge of. And that's just a recipe for freaking disaster, man.
Scott Mulder's got a good comment there.
Let me get down to it real quick. Scott Mulder says, microtransactions. Why loot the dungeon when you can buy all the treasure in the game store?
Amen.
Yeah.
Preach that right there.
Yep. And the thing is, that's where it's at. Is, but what they're going for, like we've all said before, is, they and it's actually not a bad model fundamentally when you think about it, because it's the way younger people play now. Is you're on your phone, you're going through Farmville. I don't play the game, but you're on Farmville as an example, and oh my God, in order to really get this, I got to buy that special hay baler or whatever, and it's only 50 cents. What's the big deal? It's 50 cents. Well, the big deal is that's the 10th time I bought something that week at 50 cents. Or $1.99. It's only $1.99. Yeah, but it's the 40th time you've done it this month.
Yeah.
And that's what they want.
Feel like much when it's a microtransaction.
Yeah, that's why they call it that. That's exactly it. They want you to think that it's only $1. No big deal.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
You won't even notice.
Oh, don't even go there, Parasocial. That's probably not too far down the line, Oh, you want to go ahead and, use the drive-thru at McDonald's? That's only $1.99 extra, Chris Leonard says, Eric and others, I'm worried what they will do to Greyhawk in 5.5 being the new suggested setting. Okay, anybody, you guys, do you know anything about this? Because I know very little about the new Greyhawk. I'm self-admitted ignorant on this.
Right.
Help it out, guys.
Go ahead, Eric.
They've changed some of the naming of some of the regions on the map. I believe in one case. Blackmore is now trade. It's confusing, but I believe the trademark is now in the hands of the family, of the estate of Dave Arneson. So Blackmore is, I forget what they called it. I will probably find a way to get the new Greyhawk map. I am a Greyhawk fan. It was my first setting I ever had, and I have like 3 different versions of the map or more. But I don't. They're going to do to Greyhawk what they've done to the Forgotten Realms. Okay, they're going to turn it into like the Forgotten Realms now is everything, right? Oh, what about my Spelljammer? It's in the Forgotten Realms. My Ravenloft, it's the Forgotten Realms. Planescape, it's the Forgotten Realms. It's all meshed into the Forgotten Realms. They're going to do that, I believe, with Greyhawk, unless Greyhawk just becomes that little sample setting in the DMG, and they leave it in the hands of the players to expand on the DM's Guild. I don't.
But
know.
Eric, I heard though something, and maybe I misread it or whatnot, but I heard that the new Greyhawk setting though is not at the same timeline as the other one. It's a different timeline. Is anything?
I heard something similar to that, kind of like the Kelvin timeline in Star Trek.
Yeah. Should have got Joe Block on here. You know that? That's what we should have done for this one.
He probably know it a lot better, but yes. So when you change the timeline, the streams, they cross and they go everywhere, and then I don't. Who the hell knows?
Well, yeah. Honestly, we really. I mean, if you really like Greyhawk, I would just say buy Joe Block stuff. Buy the Greyhawk Grognards.
Oh, I play Greyhawk in this. I use the original. Sorry, I use the original. I love the original.
Well, I just like I like what Joe does, and so I see him at a convention. I want to go up and buy a book.
Yeah.
I bought a couple of books off of him, and he's a great guy to talk to, and he loves Greyhawk. He's trying to keep it alive. So for me,
Joe Block, man, he ought to write a book about it. He ought to write a book about the history of Greyhawk in a real informed. He could do it. I'd buy a copy.
I'd buy a copy.
You know,
the amateur historian in me would be like, "Shut up and take my money."
Absolutely.
Take it.
So, hey, we are 3 minutes before Eric's got to tap out.
Listen, I turn into a pumpkin because I got to go to do the hangout on in the speakeasy at the Tavern's Discord.
Eric has other lovers he has to attend to. Me and Tom aren't worth his time anymore.
I've got responsibility.
Eric, thank you very much, by the
Eric,
way,
thanks for showing up.
swinging in, okay?
Thank you for having me. No, this is a blast. I have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So, I have a lot of fun not being the one running the live stream. I just get to play a part. I love it.
Yeah. But your pretty face helps with the show. You know?
Fugu caused me trouble. I don't want to. I want to know. I'll see you in the chat. Fugu.
Honestly, it was Eric's idea that we started this together, Dawn and I. So,
yes.
Might as well have Eric on.
Yeah. The extension, the natural extension.
The shit stirrer.
Eric is the horn in the unicorn. How's that one? That was supposed to be deep. You know, it was supposed to be one of those moments you guys go, "Oh wow."
I just kept going back to where's all that money Luke Gygax's supposed to be paying me?
Shh. The direct deposits ain't hit yet.
I'm wearing a shirt that's like 7 years old. Maybe I think I bought this when I'm still working. It could be 8 years old. Where's my money, damn it?
Well, this is our act. We dress like this because we got to not let people know the millions we get paid.
Well, I think you're the one who's been getting paid because you got prosecutors in your pocket and all sorts of stuff.
$500K, 30 grand, 15 grand. Who knows? It's a grand is a grand. You know what I mean?
I don't want to give much airtime to the troll in North Carolina, but honestly, the most recent accusation you stole $500,000 makes no sense because you put in for $7 grand as a creditor in the bankruptcy.
Yep.
He would have just reported that and said no, and then the trustee.
It should be on his P&L. He didn't even put it. Yeah, because if there was that would have been a hell of a loss. Who would have helped him in his bankruptcy?
Said, yeah, we're owed $500 grand because it was stolen by Dawn.
Even the 33 grand and the 16 and 12 and 15 and 22 didn't report it. So that tells you a lot right there.
Yeah. So
microtransactions support the prosecutor in the pocket.
That's
there
right.
You go.
Yeah.
Found the secret.
Yeah.
Found the secret. Thank you, Scott.
All right, Eric. Talk to you later. Okay.
Take it easy, Eric.
All right. See you, Eric. All right. Terry R says something very interesting here, Tom. Blackmore is now called Arn. Is that true? Or is that just a joke? I'm not sure.
I'm not 100% sure. I think so. The statement that the family owns the Blackmore trademark.
I think so.
Well, no, I'm iffy on that because that was one of the trademarks that a certain troll was squatting on, and then he supposedly gave it to the family. Oh,
but that wasn't brought up though by WotC in their countersuit though as part of the group of trademarks that they disputed.
Yeah, I don't know. So, so one of the things that one of the problems, was that in talking with somebody who produced a documentary on Blackmore,
mm-hmm.
I said, "Hey, I see that WotC's selling the original Blackmore supplement on drive-through." He says, "We'll see how that goes," and I was like, "Oh." You're waiting to see how this TSR thing goes, and then you're going to try to sue WotC. And, it was just, I was like, yeah, that's not going to go well.
No.
They clearly have had this in prior commercial use. They've been selling this. They don't have to officially own.
They don't.
Prior commercial use, and you'll lose in a lawsuit.
And you know what? I can give I'll give everybody, I'm not a lawyer, but I have played one in a role-playing game before, But I'm going to give some firm legal advice. And I think Joe the lawyer, if he sees this, can vouch for this. Ready? Here we go. Do not sue companies that sell billions of dollars in games per year when you're trying to steal their IP. Bad idea. There, that's my legal advice.
Yeah. That's pretty good legal advice.
Yeah.
Oh, so according to the new map.
Okay, so it's called ARN. Actually, you know that. Although you know what's curious is this. I personally, as a business decision, I would have kept it Blackmore because it's that. You know, first of all, Blackmore is just a cool freaking name.
Yeah,
Blackmore.
Name recognition, but I think they're like, you know what, we don't care, and they're like, screw anybody who's an old grognard who likes Blackmore.
It might be something a little bit deeper than that also, Tom. It might just be also that maybe they're doing it for a strategic legal IP-based reason and giving a nod to the family. Because keep in mind, from what I've heard, and this is just by no means do I have the contacts you and Eric do, but I've heard through a few contacts that the Arneson clan family, they all have a lot of unpublished Blackmore-based material, and WotC may want it, and so they're calling it Arn for Arneson as a nod to, as an ode to him, you know. So yeah, it's interesting, but this leads into our next thing we're going to talk about. The wheels have already began churning. Do you want to real quickly bring in that, Tom?
Well, it's Desert Gled on N-World. I think was the first person to drop the dime or drop the news to get the scoop that the old TSR Hobbies website no longer points where it was pointing, and now you click on it and it was sending you to WotC. So
yes.
WotC has taken over the TSR Hobbies website, and
yeah, when you go to tsr-hobbies.com, you go to Wizards of the Coast main entry page. It's basically it's a redirect. So
yeah, they're taking over, which was funny because I learned this at the same time some troll sent me a message saying, "You're afraid of TSR," and I'm like, "What? TSR is bankrupt, and they're dead."
Yeah.
Chapter 7 bankruptcy, which means everything's wiped off the table. It's gone. What do I fear? It's a toothless dog with no legs.
Can we all please have a moment of silence for the powerhouse that was new TSR?
Well, yeah, sorry, I can't be silent for that.
Wah, wah, wah.
So yeah, that's clearly the wheels of justice are moving, and this whole sad chapter of destruction of the TSR name,
amen,
is coming to an end. And
but I am curious though about something.
Sure.
I am curious about, we know that, WotC now formally is back in control of TSR IP trademark.
Yep.
We know that they're now back in control of actually the icons, the Lizard Man logo and all that. I'm really curious what they're going to do with it. I personally think that they're just going to basically
bury it.
Do it like Wizard or Raiders of the Lost Ark. They're going to put it in a crate and they're going to shove it in a big warehouse. And it's going to play the Indiana Jones music, and it's going to go distance out. And
as long as they're still selling on drive-through,
why not? Well, it doesn't cost them not much to do.
It has
why not keep doing it?
It has those logos on it. They win in any lawsuit in the future. Yeah. Anybody wants to squat on that stuff.
Yeah.
Prior commercial use. And you would be causing confusion in the marketplace by trying to squat on the trademark. It's just not going to work.
Yeah, Chris. I was white, but not a white middle-aged male in 1982. WotC, I was 14. Get it straight. Yeah. The thing is, though, is it just, and again, I know we're harping a little bit on it, but it just really saddens me that here we are, D&D's 50th, such a unique time, just in general gaming. What a milestone for a game. And not only make it to 50 years, but be 50 years in active production, always been renovated, redone, cleaned up, revamped, and all that. And to have a company that has the money that they could put into it, they just did nothing with it. And that's just so, just as a gamer, it's just, I look at it and it's just upsetting to me.
And this idea that white middle-aged men like us need to get out of the hobby. Okay, fine. Let's wave a magic wand and all the white middle-aged men leave the hobby. What happens day after that? What happens to sales for all the third-party publishers? What happens to sales for WotC? What happens? We make them all leave. What have you done? What have you benefited the hobby by getting rid of all the white men?
And not only that, but think about intrinsically what this is, okay? For those out there who are saying this, I'm not going to point out any group, but for those of you out there who are advocating for this, but I'll bet you in the same discussion that we would have with you about this is you would bring up about the horrible bigotry and racism against other groups. So what you're going to do is you're going to call out about how everybody should be welcome in gaming. How dare you advocate anything contrary? And by the way, let's get rid of all you white over 50 types that are in our game. It's like you're advocating for what you're decrying as bad, you know. So
I advocate for let's get more people in the hobby.
Yes.
I don't care what their ethnicity is. I don't care what their orientation is. Listen, my wargaming club, the one woman we had was actually trans, you know, and she was a good wargamer. Yeah. Happy to play against her. You know, we show up, we're playing Napoleonics, pushing, regiments of foot or regiments of cavalry. And, the dice could go for her. The dice could go for me. My cavalry charge and get repelled. And, and it's just a sad day for the cavalry because they're charging,
But you nailed it, Tom. You just nailed it. What you just said. You said, and you're 100% right. Get everybody. What does it matter? Let's get everybody, as many as we can, involved in the hobby.
And she was always welcome.
Yeah,
she was always welcome at the club. Nobody ever was like.
You know what? Growing up, I'm gonna tell you what. I played a lot of D&D at a lot of D&D groups, and I'll tell you something. The only time I ever saw any quote unquote "you're not welcome here," that might have been the occasional. Maybe the jocks got a D&D group going and they don't want the little geeks in there. Or maybe, the occasional, this is my group of friends. These are the people I hang out with. And so we're our own clique. I've seen that type of stuff before. And people are going to frown and go, yeah, you're full of shit, Don. But I'm not. I don't think I've ever seen more than one or two instances maybe in 50 or 45 years of my gaming where I've seen someone go, I don't want that person in because they're that particular race or color or they're a girl. When I was growing up, it was like, anybody, please, can we get someone in game with us? We don't care.
The only time I wanted to exclude somebody was I was teaching Middle Earth role playing, MERP.
Oh, yeah.
And so we had one guy was just being pushy and telling everybody else what to do during character creation. Mm-hmm. And he was just being an ass, basically. And so we got character creation done, and I'm running the sample adventure from the book, and he failed the dice roll, and so you go to the fumble table, and the fumble table said that you break your weapon and wound yourself. And so I wrote that he snapped the bowstring, which is not the end of the world for you, and he shot himself in the foot. And he immediately got mad, and everybody at the table laughed because they were so tired of his crap. Mm-hmm. And then the game broke up right then and there, and I never played with that guy again.
But see, that's just it. Now, I have many, many times seen similar situations where we've basically banned a person from playing because they're just being a dick at the table. Like and you know what? I love the guy to death. But I stopped playing, inviting my one brother-in-law to the table. Why? Because he was the type of guy, he'd lose his temper and he'd throw the dice. And it's like, dude, you can't be just throwing freaking dice. I mean, because you're not getting your way, quit acting like you're 5 years old, you know? So yeah, that type of stuff, we have seen people, you're out of here, gone. We don't invite that guy
When I
again,
was
but that's
14,
different.
we play with anybody.
Yeah.
You know?
We just were grateful we had someone to play with.
Because Air Force bases were just well integrated. You know, next door neighbor family, you know, the wife's American Indian or Filipino, and the next family
We're
black.
both military brats. We both damn well know that's 100%. You're not lying one bit or exaggerating. We were a cornucopia mixing pot of even foreigners.
You're
like,
building forts in the woods, and hey, the black kids got your back against the older kids.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not being prejudiced against him. He had my back in this fight in the woods. We're throwing mud and stuff at each other, and the older kids are trying to push us out. And we already built this fort, and they're going to take over our fort that we built. No, you know, I'm going to play with anybody who's, you know. I just haven't seen it, and the hobby is not benefited by more separation. It's benefited by coming together.
Amen, brother. That's exactly, that should be put on a shirt, because that is, Tom, that is so flippin' true what you just said. We're not benefiting. You know, when you go online, you see all these people talking us versus them, you know, these woke 5e players and that type of crappy talk. They're not helping the hobby at all. What they're doing is they're being divisive, and they're hurting the hobby. And this hobby is not about alienating people. It's about, you know what? I don't care who you voted for. I don't care what your religion is. White, black, Hispanic. You know, I don't care. Let's play games. Let's have some fun. And don't you be a jerk to my friends, and I won't be a jerk to yours. But also, let's not let jerks be jerks to our, you know, people. You know?
I took a job at the local school, and they were like, "Oh, you're into role-playing games?" They put me in the classroom with the ed tech running the D&D club. They're like, "Oh, you two will get along." Well, I hate 5e. All right, I'm famous for not liking 5e.
Yeah.
You know, but you know what? That's what the kids know. That's what we run for the kids.
Same thing at the library. I know what the kids want to play because that's the current flavor also. It's what they're going to be exposed to in the stores and everything else.
And what is the barrier to these kids playing first edition? They're going to have to go on eBay and buy old books, and they're not going to know what to buy. And, you know, so it's a money barrier that, look, sorry, no. And honestly, there are warts to first edition.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's by far not a perfect game. It's got major issues. Let's just be honest.
OD&D has issues. So it's great that we like to play some of these old, you know, Beck-Me and Moldvay Basic. Great. But these kids can't access that. They don't know where to go. They might discover it. They might fall in love with it, but for the most part, they need what's easy to access.
Let me address this real quick.
Sure.
Crusader Cool. Yes, there is an update. What we did is like we talked about last week, we did some updates, cleaner updates. Literally, we got the final ones yesterday. The final edit was done. I'm going to actually do the printing and binding of it, because we don't do perfect binding on this. It's called saddle stitching. It's like with the staples in the bind, and it's going to be done probably in the next week or so, because that is easy peasy to do. So yuppers, and it's cool. 28 pages. We have an equipment list we added to it. We have what do we got, Tom? We added equipment list. We now have gnomes.
Yep.
We have some added spells. We have the money table cleaned up about weights and measures of money, and we can explain it a little bit better.
Big discussion.
Yeah.
Gold does not weigh the same as silver.
Yep. And by the way, it is no longer called Blades and Sorcery Light. We did do We did consult with people like Tim Kask and others and some other people. They gave ideas. We kind of all settled on a middle ground, and it's now called I am drawing a flickin' blank because my head is just a mix-up of stuff.
We dropped the light, and
Yeah, we're calling it basic now.
yeah, we're calling it basic. And actually, Tim Cass didn't like the idea of calling it BS.
Yeah, because it is something that, you know, you don't want your game known as BS. You
Yeah.
know, so
Yeah,
we changed the name to Blades and Arcana.
So, Blades and Arcana, what we settled on?
Yeah, Blades and Arcana was the final. Yeah.
I
So
just figured the two of you would hash it out, and I would not.
yeah.
fight for
Well,
anything.
it's Blades and Arcana basic because the idea is it is the basic set of rules that you can just get up and playing and running. Go ahead, Tom.
Oh, no, just take you through a few levels, and then we'd have a more expanded rule set.
That's right.
And then I think the obvious thing to do is to do a all-in-one hardcover bound, eventually down.
I wish it was open source. If that was open IP, I'd be all over that in a minute. I love Logan's
It's in
Run.
the public domain.
What's that?
How long till that gets in the public domain?
Another like 20 years.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's going into Saddle Stitch here in the next week or so. We'll have it out, ready to go. And literally, we are on the crux of getting release. See, I'm all befuddled. It's been a long week. I've had jury duty. I've had all kinds of stuff going on in my life.
Let me speak to Chris Lundgren.
Yeah, go ahead.
You know, honestly, Chris, file the serial numbers off of Logan's Run. File the serial numbers off and do something, Landon's Run. Whatever, but file the serial numbers off and do something like, and the rules. We can cobble rules to that. It's the setting that interests people. So you could put 5e rules on there. You could borrow D100 Star Frontiers rules for that. I mean, honestly, you could do anything really.
And that's the thing. I mean, that's exactly what you can do. I mean, any type of IP that you like. I mean, if you really want to use it, you could technically use it because Logan's Run does not have trademarked, a lot of content. I mean, the general movie is, and if you get too obvious, but there's nothing that says you can't have, a world where once you turn a certain age, it's lights out. In fact, I have an idea for a game that mixes a couple different games and genres that would really kind of mix up some cool stuff. But I'm for Wizard Tower Games, we're going simplified. We're no longer doing all these multiple tons of them. We're going to do little blocks of projects. We're going to get them done to move on to the next.
I would be interested in Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, the RPG.
Oh, that'd be so cool.
Weird West, horror West, vampire werewolves, 1860s, 1865,
like a weird Frankenstein in the in the gold mine, deep in the gold mine thing,
I read the book Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter.
Oh yeah, you read that book too?
I read it before ever seeing the movie, and I thought
that was a blast of a book.
That was a great book.
Yes, it was.
This should be an RPG.
Yep.
And I saw the movie, and I was like, on the movie, but
it was a great book.
Yeah,
it's like Clive Cussler's Sahara. What an awesome book! And then you watch the movie and go, where'd they get this movie from? What book? Because this was not Sahara.
Generally the books are usually better. Like even The Martian. The Martian's great, the movie, but the book is so much better because you get so much of his inner monologue because the guy's alone. You get so much more of the inner monologue, and it's actually funnier than Matt Damon in the movie. And the book The Martian was so much better, honestly.
Yes, it will be. It's going to be. What's going to happen is I'm waiting on. What I want to do is through Wizard, because we're doing it through Wizard Tower. I want to go ahead and I want to release the Blades and Arcana PDF optional game at the same time the print version is ready. Print will not be available through Drive Through RPG. It'll be only through it'll be through Wizard Tower. It'll be available in Barnes and Noble, and it'll be available in Amazon also. So
but that's because you'll have a proper barcode on it.
Yeah, it's amazing when you properly do a UPC or excuse me, an ISBN and you actually register it properly. Go figure.
Then you can actually sell it in a real brick and mortar store.
That's right. Jim Upper says, Abe's, Babes, and Blades. Oh my God. That just struck me cool. Abe's, Babes, and Blades.
I was thinking more of a Weird West or horror,
But just think of the voice behind it. Coming soon from Wizard Tower Games, Abe's, Babes, and Blades. Come on, Tammy, you're in the background. I know you're there. How you doing?
She doesn't like the word babes.
Oh.
Yes, I do.
I am lucky most of my
Babes
players
and
are
Blades?
covers and fifth things I replace. Yep.
No, that's
Starships and
like
Spacemen. Starships and Spacemen from Goblinoid Games. Oh man, Goblinoid Games. Is that a real game company?
It's Starships and Spacemen, I believe, is Star Trek with the serial numbers.
No, I mean, is Goblinoid Games a real game company? I must salute them. That is an awesome game company name, Goblinoid Games.
Yeah, actually, Scott Mulder submitted a Starships and Spacemen article to the Frontier Explorer way back,
Gotcha.
and we published it.
St. Cuthbert, how you doing, sir?
Yeah.
So basically, yes, it'll be on Drive Through RPG for PDF only, but for print, you're going to be able to go to Wizard Tower Games. You're going to be able to go to Amazon. Let's see, hold on, Wizard Tower Games, Amazon.com, Barnes and Noble, and also we're going through, at least locally in Michigan, there's like 9 or 10 brick and mortar stores that are going to be carrying our paperback based books and hardcover books, and then we have 3 or 4 stores in Ohio, and again matching numbers 3 or 4 in Indiana and Illinois, and I'm going to try to and one in Connecticut that we're delivering a Han Solo to in Carbonite this
I'll
month.
talk to my my local hobby store here and say, hey,
Yeah.
I got these rules. I'll put it on consignment. If it sells, you take this much, and I get this much.
Well, the idea is give them. I'll send you a PDF. Have them fill out a dealer application. It's free with us, and they can buy from Wizard Tower Games at dealer cost, and have them sell the game. You know what I mean? Let them have a regular dealer relationship with us. That's what we really want to start doing, because not only are we going to be going through hopefully Alliance games for national distribution, because we're working with them right now trying to get products situated, but we also will deal direct and distribute to game companies direct. Yeah. So, Griff, how you doing, buddy?
Hey,
just
Griff.
poking in, was watching history videos, and this popped up. Hey.
We were talking about Blackmore.
Yep.
So maybe Griff's the person to ask about that whole the World of Greyhawk. They've changed the Blackmore to Arn. You have a comment on that? What WotC's doing with Blackmore?
Yeah, Griff. Anything?
Their revamp of Greyhawk.
And while we're waiting for Griff to go ahead and answer this, we are approaching an hour and a half. We're way over. So if Griff just popped in to say hi and he disappeared again, what we'll do is we'll pretty much wrap this up then. Oh, there he goes. He said, just messing around at the end of the day. Griff, did you get that question we asked you about? Tom, ask it again for him.
Yeah, there was some discussion earlier about they've changed Blackmore to Arn, maybe as a nod to the Arneson family, to Dave Arneson. And so, I was not up on that was the change, because I just don't follow anything WotC does unless it really hits the news webs. Well, Blackmore trademark belongs to the Arneson estate. Now, well, then let me follow up a question on that, because originally Justin Lanassa squatted on the Blackmore trademark and then gave it to the Arneson estate. I mean, so is there no when you say the Arneson estate, is there any entanglements that still attached to that because of how Justin Lanassa tried to squat on it and then gave it to the Arneson family? Or, I mean, is it like free and clear? I'm just curious. So.
There we go. He answers they could go talk to them about licensing, but of course that would mean spending money once he's kind of cleaned out right now. Yeah, I think the thing is they've got so much IP anyways, they really don't quote unquote need it. So, yeah. But you know what, guys? It's been an hour and a half. We really should be clearing out of here. Everybody who participated, thank you very much. Everybody who showed up, thank you for your support. Tom, a pleasure as always again. Eric, thank you very much from earlier. But we're going to go ahead. We're going to clear out of here. We will be back next week with something fun and interesting. And yeah. So everybody, thank you for tuning in. This is Don.
And this is Tom. And this is
Blog
the
of Many
Blog of
Things.
Many Things.
Yep. So everybody, adios, muchacha orcs. Cal, you got the final word, my friend. Talk to you guys later.